let's talk about, I have a couple of, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Hey guys, welcome to episode 15 of the Knit Now Swatch Leader podcast. My name is Courtney, and this is a knitting podcast. Today is April 15th, 2020. You can find me on Instagram as Knit Now Swatch Leader and on Ravelry as Pep. Everything that I talk about in the episode you can find linked down below in the description box. This includes podcasts I mention, Etsy shops, other Instagram accounts, etc. All that stuff can be found below. So today it is snowing outside. It has been snowing all day, which is kind of weird for a lot of places around the world, but not so much where I live. The weather around here is pretty crazy all year. So I have a couple of finished objects to show you guys today. They are some more crocheted face scrubbies. They look like this. I have two of them. This is a little bit closer on this one while I talk about it. These are a free pattern on By the Jessica Life blog, and it's called the Reusable Crochet Face Scrubbies pattern. I crocheted it with a size G crochet hook, which is a 4.25 millimeter. The yarn that I used is Peaches and Cream, and the colorway is dark gray. And these are a gift for a friend. So I'm going to make a couple more. I think I'm going to try to make one or two out of the Kobu yarn that I showed you guys last time. Alright, so moving into works in progress, I have in an acquisition, this is a new Piggy project bag that I got from the Last Lily Pad on Etsy. Here is her business card, and I will link to her shop down below in the description. This is where I am keeping my Mama shawl, I don't know why I said shawl. This is my Mama cardigan by Megan Nodeker. She is Pip and Pin. She has the Pip and Pin podcast, and I believe she's Pip and Pin on Instagram, or Pip and Pin Knits, something like that. But again, I will link to her in the description box below. And you guys, I am loving working on this pattern. I love that it is worked in one piece. I have never done brioche before. So this is my first brioche project. This is honeycomb brioche. And the yarn that I am using, you guys may recognize. This is the Yarn Bee. This is the Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek DK in the colorway Cloud Control. I'm knitting the size large on a US size 3 needle, which is a 3.25 millimeter. And I'm loving it. This is what I have been reaching for most of the time. I have been trying to complete at least one pattern repeat every day. And since I'm so excited to work on it every day, I try to limit myself to one, and then I work on another project that I have that's been sitting around for a while. So I'm kind of trying to alternate between the two so that everything gets worked on and I don't have a finished cardigan and a bunch of other whips laying around. Not that that happens all the time or anything. Not that I have a giant whip basket in the craft room that's waiting to be worked on. We'll get there. It's fine. Alright, so the next thing that I have to show is in one of my favorite bags. This is by Kitsch is the New Black. And I will link her Etsy shop below as well. And in here is my Pink Velvet by Andrea Mowry, which I have showed before. And I am knitting this on a size 4 needle, which is a 3.5 millimeter. The gray The pink is Hey Sister Alonsi sock in the colorway Blossom. And then the gray, which you can see a little bit better down here, is Cascade 220 in Indigo Frost Heather. And I am knitting a size 4. And this also I have been loving. If you can't tell, this progress keeper is marking where I was the last time I recorded. I've finished the color work and I've done a few rounds of the stockinette. So I have made a lot of progress. I am moving up my progress keeper now so that I don't forget, because I always forget. That I have been, now that I'm in the body, it's actually starting to slow down, which a lot of people are excited to get to the stockinette part of the body. And I don't know. I like working on the color work and it works up so much faster for me. So I'm hoping, that's actually kind of why I started the Mema, but that was actually so the Mema was actually my birthday cast on. Pattern is for free on Ravelry, I believe until the end of April. I could be wrong about that. But it was free a couple days. Megan, the designer's birthday is a few days before mine in April, so she made that pattern free to celebrate her birthday. So I thought that it might be fun to celebrate my birthday to cast that on. So that's what I did. And I have been loving it so far. Alright, so next up in this little pouch that is also from Kitsch's The New Black, I have my husband's second heel toe do-si-do sock. The pattern is by Kay Litton, who is the Crazy Sock Lady on Instagram and on YouTube, and I believe on Ravelry. And this little Oogie Boogie is marking where I was the last time that I recorded, so it's not a ton of progress, but it is like a good inch, maybe 2 inches. I'm in the foot, but you still have to maintain the pattern, this like chevron pattern throughout the foot. So that's where I'm at with this. I have learned from working, I think the last sock pattern that I finished was also the Crazy Sock Lady, and I have learned that I am not a patterned sock knitter. I just don't, when I'm working on socks, I like to be able to just pick them up and go. In these patterns, that is not the case. I love her patterns, and I think that they make really nice designs. I love these socks, and my husband really likes them too. And you know, he's really excited for this sock, and he keeps asking me about it, and I feel so bad. But I do not enjoy working on patterned socks. So for a while at least, I'm gonna try to stick to just vanilla sock knitting for a little bit and see if maybe that goes a little bit better, maybe a little bit faster for socks for him, because I don't really wear my socks that I knit for myself. So I don't know why that is, but almost all the socks that I knit are for my husband. So, and he loves them and he wears them to death until there are holes. He wears out like the bottom of the sock, the sole of the sock, and I don't know how he does it, but if you have any tips on how to fix that, because he gets really upset when he ruins them, but I don't know how to fix them. So if you have any tips, just drop a comment below, and I would really appreciate that, and I think my husband would too. So moving into acquisitions a little bit. So as I mentioned before, my birthday passed between episodes here. It was on the 7th, and so I have a few acquisitions that were birthday presents to show. And this is the first one from my sister-in-law and her fiance. And it's just this really cute pig pattern on a project bag, and I love it. If you haven't noticed the trend here, I love pigs. They're my favorite animal. They are so cute. And it's just a really awesome little bag. It has hot pink fabric on the inside. And it also came with this cute little, it's a tissue pouch thingy. And there's even a thing of tissues in here, which is awesome because with everything going on right now, tissues are kind of hard to come by. But, so that was awesome. And this is from PB&J Creations on Etsy. There's the little sticker that was in the bag. And I will also link the shop below in the description box. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. And then I also got from my sister-in-law and her fiance this little pouch of stitch markers that are Beauty and the Beast themed. And these are going to be really hard to show, but I'll just show you one. I love Chip. He's so cute. He's upside down. It's fine. He'll be okay. Alright, so there's Chip. He's just adorable. I love him. I love him so much. And then from the same Etsy shop, my husband also got Progress Keepers from the same shop. And here is little Piglet. Oh, I love them so much. Okay, they're so cute. They got the stitch markers from Orchid and Bees, and here's the little card that she sent. And I will link that below also. And what was really funny was the shop owner sent a customized stitch marker. And because my husband ordered them, it has his name on it. And I thought that was so funny. So I keep it. He was gonna throw it out, but I thought it was funny, and so I kept it. So those were all super fun gifts for my birthday. And then I also picked up some fabric from Joann. Here's this little dinosaur print that is so adorable. And then I also got this like yellow daisy print. And my friend has a daughter, a little girl who loves dinosaurs. So my plan is to make dinosaur toys for her, because obviously. I will put pictures of the patterns on the screen, but they are both free sewing patterns that you can find online, and I will link them in the description box below. And I think that's everything. So I did get a few questions. I got quite a few questions on the last episode of my podcast, so I'm going to answer those now. Alright, so Allison De Laurentiis asks, if you could create a yarn collection based on a theme, what would it be? And I think that I would go with the show Rain on Netflix. I love the theme of that show so much, and I love the colors, and just I know that if I were to create a yarn collection, you know, if I had a red, it would be based on Queen Catherine. She's always wearing red, and she also, like, almost all of the bloodshed in that show is caused by Catherine, so obviously she would be red. And I don't know, that's really the only one that's the only one I can think of, but I think that's what I would go with, is Rain. Or Merlin is another good TV show that has a lot of colors that would be inspiring, there's a lot of colors that I would draw inspiration from. And then Allison also asks what my favorite sweater is that I've made for my dogs. And I've actually only ever made one sweater for them, and that was for my little dog Cooper. I showed him on the podcast a few episodes back, and he was wearing the sweater. That was the Dandy Dog Sweater by Ashley Konecki. And if you wanted to see more pictures of it, I have a project page on Ravelry for it. And I also showed my dog wearing the sweater. I believe it was episode 10, but I will put for sure what it is, what episode it is on the bottom here. And then my friend Talia asked, what is the most tedious stitch that I've ever knit and why was it so tedious? I think the most tedious stitch that I have ever done would probably be cables. And the reason that I say that is cables are not hard, but the reason that I say that is because I like to knit cables without a cable needle. So normally, if you're new to knitting or to cable knitting, normally when you knit a cable, you use a little cable hook, and it kind of looks like a J. And what you do is when you're knitting your cable, you take some of your stitches off of the knitting needles and onto that cable, and then you let the cable hang in front or behind the section of stitches that you're working on. When the way that I knit cables is I just drop those stitches and I knit around them without the cable needle. So I don't know if that made any sense at all, but it is kind of the reason that I think it's tedious and kind of stressful is because I just have stitches hanging in the balance waiting until I can pick them up again. So I definitely think cables are the most tedious stitch that I've ever worked on. All right, so her next question was, what would be my advice for beginning knitters? So I would recommend keeping your first project small but interesting. Okay, so the reason I say that is because I started with a scarf and I never finished it because I got bored, I got the hang of what I was doing, and I wanted to do other things. And my first actual finished object was a pair of finished gloves, or a pair of fingerless gloves, I think. The fingerless gloves that I'm thinking of are in my Ravelry page. You'll have to scroll all the way down to the bottom. They're at the very beginning. And there might be a couple other projects that came before it, but that's the one that I remember. And I never finished that scarf. I don't even know where it is. I think I ended up just throwing it away because I was never going to finish it and I wasn't ever going to wear it. It was like bright pink, and actually I think that's in my Ravelry page too if you're interested in looking into that further. And then one thing that I would recommend for beginning knitters is, I've talked about this before, but don't be intimidated by the difficulty rating on patterns. You know, if a lot of most patterns have a difficulty rating and then a list of stitches and abbreviations that are used in the pattern. So if you're comfortable, if you look over the stitches that are used in the pattern and you're comfortable with those stitches, or you're willing to take the time to learn and practice those stitches, then I think that you can definitely knit whatever you want. So don't let those intimidate you. And she also asked advice on what not to do. And I would say definitely don't start with a scarf or a blanket or a long-term project like that, because I think when you're just starting off learning how to knit, you need that like instant gratification of, I'm doing this and I have a project, and and then you learn how to cast on, you learn how to knit or purl or whatever you're doing, and you learn how to bind off all in a short span of time, so that you have a better grasp of what you're doing and a better chance of retaining that knowledge, I guess, if that makes any sense. And then Talia also asked, what project would I recommend for beginners? And I would say I would recommend a dishcloth or a pot holder, something, small square object. I think that there is a pattern on Ravelry that I have not knit myself. I do know that Kay, the Crazy Sock Lady, recommends a pattern. It's called Grandma's Dishcloth by PJ Allen, and that's the dishcloth pattern that she uses, and there's a couple different variations of it. So once you get a handle on what you're doing, I think that you could try one of the variations of it, and I think you'd be all set. So that's what I would recommend. And So that's all the questions for this week. So moving into chatter a little bit. Not much going on here. It's still tax season. We're still getting them in, getting them out, trying to keep things going at the office. I'm still going to the office for work. And the only new development that I've had is that I was diagnosed with carpal tunnel, which really stinks, but there's not much I can do about it right now. I haven't been able to knit for a couple days at all. It just hurts my hands so bad. So luckily I made a lot of progress in the last 2 weeks, but just as a heads up, I'm not sure how much progress I will make in the next 2 weeks because of that, but I'm going to try. Obviously trying not to hurt myself any more than I already have, but yeah, so that's pretty much the episode. If you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure that you like and subscribe to my channel. And also comment below so that I know that you're out there and that people are actually watching this. And if you feel so inclined, you can share this video out. And yeah, so until next time, guys, happy knitting. Bye.